They definitely misrepresented some of the texts amongst these two gals. There is one in the Blake Lively lawsuit, and it quotes a Daily Mail headline from August of 24. And this is Blake's lawsuit in paragraph 23. On August 16th, Miss Nathan circulated a Daily Mail article entitled, "Is Blake Lively Set to Be Canceled? String of hard-to-watch videos that have surfaced following tone-deaf Q&A to promote It Ends With Us could tarnish her golden Hollywood image for good." To which Miss Abel, she was the other PR person, responded, speaking to Miss Nathan, "Wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece." And Miss Nathan replied, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." Now, this was in the New York Times. And when I read it, I was like, they've got them dead to rights. There's these two PR hacks sitting there saying, like, we planted this Daily Mail piece saying she's going to be canceled. She's a bad person. And they're celebrating it. And in your lawsuit against the New York Times, you offer up the rest of that text exchange. And I don't just mean what follows, like in a line or two. Right after, on the same line as the lines that are quoted in the lawsuit, in the complaint, and in the Times, there is, for example, the sarcasm emoji, and more importantly, an explicit denial by Melissa Nathan as she writes this that it wasn't her. So what the full text exchange that you've offered now shows is Jen Abel saying to Melissa, "Wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece," with the sarcasm emoji, which is an upside down smiley face. They took out the sarcasm emoji in the New York Times. Then Melissa responds, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." They remove the next part where she says, "Heading to the airport and there's a drive through the jungle that there's going to be no reception around for 24 hours, joke, 45 minutes. And there's a response about that joke. And then Nathan says, same date, August 16th, "Damn, this is unfair because it's also not me. Everything now looks like it's me. Maybe not to you." And Jen Abel responds, "No, it totally does look like his side." But they are saying to one another, "But it's not us." So, I mean, the full context and text, Brian, of the full exchange shows these two PR agents saying, "She's getting hit. You know, I know you think it's me. It's not me."
It's actually worse than that, because the first text in that whole chain is a reporter who is saying to Melissa Nathan, is showing her the article for the first time. You can tell that this is the first time that Melissa Nathan sees the article. She says, "What? Could Blake Lively be canceled?" I mean, she's seeing it for the first time and saying, "Wow, I mean, this looks like it's me, but this is not me." And you can tell that this is the first time Melissa Nathan has learned about this. She forwards that piece with the reporter to Jen Abel. So Jen Abel knows that Melissa Nathan is learning about it for the first time. She knows she's saying, "This isn't me." She knows that she doesn't want this to be her, and that's not what they're trying to do. And she sends it to Jen Abel, and Jen Abel looks at it and makes a joke, and you know, with an upside down emoji that's sarcasm. They remove the emoji. They remove the piece about the reporter showing that Melissa saw it for the first time then, and obviously couldn't be a part of it. And they remove the rest of the text messages showing that they're joking around. I mean, it's absolutely appalling what they did. And if the New York Times is correct by their own response, we've done, you know, incredible reporting. We've done complete and accurate reporting. We've reviewed thousands of pages of text messages and documents and other things. And, you know, and we stand by our story. Really? Well, if you really reviewed these, then you would have reviewed those text messages, and you would have known, or should have known, that this was actually all satire, and that Melissa Nathan could have never planted that story, because she didn't know about the story, and she learned about it for the first time from the reporter and denied it right away. And there's a plethora of text messages throughout saying this is not what they want to do. And Justin instructing them, "We're not planting stories. We're not using bots. None of that.
Okay, but I grant you all of that. And it seems very clear that Blake Lively's legal team made some very critical material omissions in their complaint. And so did the Times, which is not okay. But if you look at the complaint, and again, these are just allegations, and now you get the chance to deny them or respond to them, it doesn't sound good. The PR people talking about, Blake and Justin, Justin looking for assurances. He wants to be calmed down, that they have a plan to fight back if, she does come out against him, that he didn't feel good about the document they sent over, and he wants to feel better. And then I'm just trying to pull up some of them. There's some here's Jen Abel saying to Melissa Nathan, I'm having reckless thoughts of wanting to plant pieces this week of how horrible Blake is to work with, just to get ahead of it. She's putting us through hell. Melissa Nathan, same. Am I already off the record? Spoke to the editor of the Daily Mail because she's my friend. She's ready when we are, says Melissa Nathan. Jennifer Abel, I think we really need to put the social combat plan then into motion. Melissa Nathan, so do I. Let's see. That's one representative. I'll get to some others, but they seem pretty explicit in their discussion about how it's time, let's get her.
Sure. And I think, we all need to understand what crisis PR is about, right? So they give options and they provide options of how they can clarify things, how they can, correct things, how they can change things, how they can put things out there that are true and positive about someone. It's the difference here is that Justin never authorized anything. And actually, there's nothing that was done that was nefarious or in any way was any type of smear campaign. And in fact, it's just the opposite. I mean, you would expect someone who's actually worried about himself, worried about the film, frankly, worried about Blake Lively's own reputation and the effect on the film, to be prepared, to have someone just in case something comes out that is negative about them, it is negative about the film or anything else. It's not it's all a part of Hollywood. Everyone has a PR team that they can bring in that might help that. The question isn't whether, someone came in and said, we have options. The question is, was anything done that was untoward or were articles placed or anything else? And what you see in the complaint, if you carefully look at it, the only article that they even claim that was placed was this one article, is Blake Lively about to be canceled? And there's unequivocal proof in there. There are text messages that were left out of the complaint purposely, that were left out of the New York Times article purposely, that completely refute that either Melissa, Jen, or anyone else, Justin, had anything to do with planting that story or even knowing about that story before they learned about it. So
see, this is my problem, because it's one thing for the PR hacks to sit around saying, this is how we'll get her. You've hired us to advise you. If we need to get her, if she unleashes the hounds against you, this is what we'll do. That is one thing. And it is quite another to prove then they actually did it. And I have to say that I say this not just because I'm your friend. I have absolutely no feelings about this guy, Justin Baldoni. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I reviewed some of his social media, and he seems kind of ridiculous with his toxic masculinity, lamentations, and so on. But that's fine. That's me. So I'm not on his side. But my point is simply, I just don't see it. In their incendiary complaint, where they're trying to do their best to bash him and the PR team, I don't see that the second loop closed of, and then here's where they did it. It's just all supposition. They don't have these great texts saying, look what I got placed in the New York Post.
Right. It's actually even worse than that. It's not just that they can't prove or don't have any evidence to show that it was done. There's actual evidence. There are text messages. There are receipts, right, that absolutely show Blake Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, placing, actual stories and hit pieces about Justin in the Daily Mail and in TMZ. And we have text with the actual reporters that show that this is exactly what's going on. So
and the reporters at the Daily Mail, I saw the text between the Daily Mail and you and some others in there. And the Daily Mail reporter is saying that this Melissa Nathan, who was at the heart of it for Justin, she was the crisis PR person they brought in, did not bash Blake Lively to him and was not doing that. And you've got Blake's person saying, I know it was Melissa. And you've got the Daily Mail saying, actually, no, Melissa's not doing it.
That's exactly right. And then you have Blake's person actually in an exchange with the Daily Mail reporter changing a story completely to go from was Blake Lively difficult on the set to change that into does the cast and crew all hate Justin? I mean, that's when you start to talk about a smear campaign. You start to look at it from that standpoint. And for the New York Times not to have looked at those text messages, not to have caught them, not to have bothered to ask questions about them is just the reckless disregard for the truth.
She does deny that. I should point out to the audience that in Blake's complaint, they deny that they have unleashed any sort of campaign hurting or hitting Justin. They say that explicitly, that they haven't. I realize you contest that, but that's a point of dispute. I did find the Justin Baldoni text to which I was referring earlier. Let me just read it. It's him, expressing concerns that the PR people's written plan was insufficiently aggressive to, quote, protect him. That's what Blake Lively's alleging. And they include a screen grab of a text in which he says to said team, morning, not in love with the document they sent, not sure I'm feeling the protection I felt on the call. And then it's this next text exchange that's made all the papers. In response, the two PR ladies start discussing that message from Justin, which was to one of them. So Jennifer Abel says to Melissa Nathan, the crisis gal, okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to confidentially send you something. He's texting me and Jamie on the side just to arm you before this call. I think you guys need to be tough and show the strength of what you guys can do in these scenarios. He wants to feel like she can be buried. Then Melissa responds to Jennifer, of course, but when we send over documents, we can't send over the work we would or could do because that could get us in a lot of trouble. We can't write it down to him. We can't write, we will destroy her. We will go to this. We will do this. We will do that. We will do this. He has to look at it as an information document for us to be armed with. That's all. Imagine if a document saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. We can bury anyone, but I can't write that to him. I will. I'll be very tough. And then, Bryan, on top of that, they submit in the next paragraph, 15, a text from Justin to the PR team, Miss Abel, Jennifer Abel, with a screen grab of Blake Lively. I'm sorry, Bieber, Hailey Bieber. And it's an article about Hailey Bieber allegedly bullying women. And he writes to the team, this is what we would need. So their allegation is everybody's talking about how he needs to feel better. We will bury, we are totally capable of burying her. We're prepared to do that. And then you got him saying, here's an example of what I would need, dismissing her as a bully. So, you and I in another context might say all this is circumstantial evidence that supports the plan, though the execution of the plan, the actual articles, we may not have in hand, but there's a supposition that they closed the deal.
Let's actually break it down. Because what you and I would do, because you're a great lawyer, and if you weren't amazing at what you do, you would be the best lawyer in town, that's for sure. So let's break it down. So the first thing they say, and you went over it, was the plan wasn't sufficiently aggressive for him. You'll find the word aggressive in the complaint. What you won't find is the word aggressive in the text message, because he never wants something that's aggressive. He wants something that's protective. And there's a big difference. Aggressive means you're going to go out and attack. Protective means if something comes out, I want to make sure I'm protected. So he says the plan doesn't look sufficiently protective to me, meaning that you got all these attack things in the plan. I don't want to attack anyone, right? I just want to make sure there's not attacks on us. Everything in his words is protection.
Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity? And cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. House alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts, dogs, they won't work against these thieves because they're not after your stuff, they're after your equity. If your title is not being monitored, scammers can transfer the title of your home into their name, then take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection is 24/7 monitoring and, God forbid, if the worst happens, restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. When was the last time you checked on your title? Likely never, right? And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. Make sure you're not already a victim, and you can get a free title history report as well as a 30-day free trial of triple lock protection today by going to HometitleLock.com and using the promo code Megyn, or just click on the link in the description. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Megyn, HometitleLock.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.